All right, everybody, welcome to the presentation. I'm Trevor, and I am going to be your presenter in our eBay training today. We're training specifically on images on eBay, which is the source of a lot of frustration for a good portion of our clients. They either make it to where it's hard to get listings up, or sometimes you can't get them up at all because you can't figure out how to get an image in correctly. Sometimes the image size issue causes problems because eBay has some very specific requirements for the size. So we're going to cover all that today, and then hopefully you guys can walk away from this saying, okay, I can definitely get images, I can size them, I can edit them, and I don't have a problem with that. We want to focus on speed, so that's what we'll do. So let me take you guys over to a time where images weren't such a problem, and it was prior to July of 2013. In fact, this comes from eBay's spring update in 2013, and eBay basically said that from July 1st of 2013, eBay was going to enforce certain picture quality requirements, okay? And the big change was this one right here. It says that all photos must be at least 500 pixels on the longest side of the picture. Now, for a lot of us, we look at that and say, okay, 500 pixels. All right, I get that, but what's a pixel, right? Commonly, we don't measure things in pixels. It's centimeters, it's inches, it's feet. Somebody who's here live with me, how much is a pixel? How much is 500 pixels? Give me an idea, just so that we can all visualize that requirement. Like what, rough, let's say in inches. How much is a pixel? Yeah, Lorna, close to 5. In fact, I think the actual measurement, and I'm going to show you this picture right here, this red rectangle. This is 500 by 500, width and height. Yeah, I mean it's around 5 or 6 inches, right? 5, 6, 6.5 inches, something like that. So, I mean, I always say it's about the length of a pen. If you held your pen up to something that had a length of 500 pixels, your pen would be about the same length. So it's important for you guys to understand that intuitively, because that is the least, or at least that's the least an image can be on eBay. It can be much bigger than 500 pixels, but it can't be less on one of the sides, okay? So that's a requirement, and it's been a requirement for a couple of years now. So you just have to get used to having images that are bigger. eBay did it because they want their pictures to be bigger and nicer, because pictures work to sell products. Small pictures aren't as helpful to sell products, so they want bigger ones, 500 by 500, okay? Now, it could be 500 by 250, right? Or 375 by 600, but one of the sides has to be at least 500. That's the rule, okay? All right, so you'll notice I'm in a program right now. A lot of you guys probably recognize this program. This program is called Pixlr, Pixlr.com, and it's a photo editing program. Does some basics for editing photos. It's like a Photoshop or an Illustrator, I guess, but it's just a really, really watered down version of it, and it's free. So Pixlr.com. I'm going to send you guys all the link to it. Those of you guys who are here live, there's the link. And that's where you can go to edit image sizes, because invariably you're going to have some suppliers or pictures from suppliers that aren't going to meet that 500 requirement. Some images are just simply too small, right? And you won't be able to load them onto eBay if they're too small. So we'll do some examples of that today. Okay, questions about things so far, guys? Or are we good? Okay. Pictures can't have borders. That you don't have to worry about. Photos cannot have seller added text. Okay, that you don't have to worry about. The big thing you guys need to worry about is mainly the size. Okay. Now let's do some examples real quick. Actually, I've got a few downloads here on my computer. I'm on Pixlr, okay? In fact, let me just do it from the beginning. So those of you guys who've never done Pixlr know what I'm talking about. Pixlr.com. It's going to look like this when you first get to it. And you need to scroll down on it so you get these options, either the Pixlr Express or the Pixlr Editor. I would prefer you guys just use this Pixlr Editor. And it's a web application. In other words, you don't have to download Pixlr as a software program onto your computer. It's just it works right there on your on your browser. So I'm going to hit Launch Web App, and it's going to open to a screen like this where I can either create my own image or I can open up an image from my computer. You see these two options right here. So just for the sake of our example here, let's open an image from my computer. Okay, and it takes me into my computer. I just need to highlight whatever image I'm trying to load in, and I hit open. And this is going to look maybe a little bit different for you guys who are on different computers. I'm on an Apple computer, so it looks, but anyway, even if you're on a PC, it's going to look similar. You just have to find the file and then hit open, and then sure enough, there it is. Now guys, looking at this picture right now, and I know it looks different on your screen because you're seeing it through a video, but would you say this picture right here meets the requirements? Just looking at it, trying to pass the eye test, is that as big as a pen on one side or the other? And the answer is of course no, right? That's probably a quarter of the size of a pen. It's way too small. See, eBay wouldn't accept that image. It's a nice image, and it's clear, but it's not big enough. And we know it's not big enough because you guys can look right here. I know this is probably really, really, really small on your screen, but look at the number right here for me. Can you see that? It's got a number by another number, PX. You see that? What numbers do you see there? 284 by 177. So that's 284 pixels in width and 177 pixels in height, right? So the problem with this image is it's not only too small, but it's too small on both sides. So there's no way eBay would take this, right? Now, we've got two options at this point. We can either go out there and try to find a better version of this picture somewhere online, maybe from your supplier, maybe from Google Images, which we're going to use here in a second, or we need to expand the size using Pixlr to increase the size so it is at least 500. Now, if I wanted to expand the size of this picture, it's really pretty easy to do. You go up here and you select Image. So you see this menu that says File, Edit, Image, Layer, Adjustment, Filter, View, Language, etc. I'm going to select Image, and I'm going to go to Image Size, okay? And I'm going to get this little pop-up that's going to tell me it's 284 by 177. Well, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to change the larger of the two sides to 500. Okay? Now you'll notice that the height automatically changed as well. They do that so the properties of the image aren't too distorted, or the proportions of the image aren't too distorted. If I change the height and the width and turned that image into a square when the original image was a rectangle, it would look really funny. So you constrain proportions, you put 500 under width, and even though the height is only 312, that's good enough. The width is big enough, so it's going to be acceptable on eBay, right? So I'm going to hit OK, and there we go. It increased the size of the picture, right? Here's the original. So here's the enlarged version. The original looks like that. Okay. All right, so that would work. I could take that into eBay and I could upload it in, and I shouldn't have a problem at all. Okay, questions about that? Myra, you said when you change the pic to fit eBay's requirement, what keeps it from distorting? So that's a good question. When you take a smaller picture and you increase the size, the quality is going to be worse. That's always the way it works. In pictures and in photography, if you take an existing image and make it bigger, it's going to look a little more distorted. It may look a little pixelated, right? To where you can see some of the imperfections and the image isn't as clear and as crisp. That's going to happen when you improve the size of something too much. So that's why if we had an original image that was way too small, let's actually do an example of that, because this will answer that question really well. Let me see if I can find a tiny image here. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to download this really, really little image to illustrate kind of what Myra's talking about. Okay, I'm going to upload this image into our Pixlr. So let's get rid of the shoe and let's go open image from computer. Here's our picture that we're working with. Okay, there it is. You guys can you even tell what that is? It's tiny, isn't it? It's 64 by 64. What is it? Can you guys tell? I can on my end. If I look really closely, what is it? Yeah, it's another shoe, right? Yeah, so you guys can see it, but probably not hardly any of the detail, right? Okay. So we got to increase the size of this thing, right? We got to make this compatible to eBay standards. So we're going to go open image, or sorry, not open image. We're going to go to image up here. We're going to go image size. It's only 64, so we're expanding this multiple times over, almost 10 times as much, right? And if I hit OK, here you go. Here's our 500 by 500. But you guys tell me, how good does this picture now look? You can see it better, can't you? Yeah, like it's a lot bigger. We just expanded it and made it fits the criteria for eBay. The problem is it's really distorted, ugly looking. I feel like it'd be really hard to sell this shoe because my image is so bad, right? So the rule is when you're increasing the size of a picture, if you're increasing it a whole lot, if the original image is tiny and you have to push it way up to hit 500 pixels, then it might be distorted too much. Luckily, I don't think most of your image sizes are going to be way too small. It'll be more like you've got an image that's 400 by 400 and you have to increase it by 20% so you can get 500 pixels, and then usually it doesn't look too bad, right? We can do an example of that here in just a second. Okay. So let's do a better example. Let's do something off of Walmart real quick. Right, assuming Walmart is our supplier here, let's look at some Jurassic World toys that they're advertising. Okay, we'll just grab this one on top. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's the image. In most cases, when I get pictures from Walmart, I do it this way. I copy the title of the picture, and this is really how I find pictures virtually of anything. Copy the title, and then we take it over here to Google Images. Okay, and then I paste in the title. So google.com/images is where we are right now. I paste in the title to the search box and I do a search. And I look for the image, okay? Now, the only one I see so far that's the same as the one that we saw there on Walmart is this one. This one might be the same. No, but the picture looks different. Yeah, that's a different looking picture. So this one at the top, this one right here could be used. That looks like the same product, right? It doesn't have to be the exact same Walmart picture. Here's one right here. That's the same product. Okay. So I've got a bunch of different options here. This is the Walmart version of the picture, this one up here at the top. But here's something you guys are going to notice about Google Images. They have varying sizes here. So if I roll my mouse over this first one right here, how big is that one? See how it gives me a size just underneath it? Yeah, it's 355 by 355. Is that big enough? No, it's not. So we would have to increase the size of this one. So if I'm seeking to do a listing faster, I may look to find something else because I don't want to have to go increase the size of my picture if I can avoid it. As I scroll around looking through some other ones, how big is this one right here that I'm sitting on? Yeah, we're over 1,000. We're at 1,500. But hold on, wait a minute. Don't those two images look the same size on our screen right now? One of them is supposed to be 355 by 355. The other one is supposed to be 1,500 by 1,500. That looks pretty darn similar in size, but it's saying two different things. Why is that? Right? Surely this one can't be 1,500 by 1,500. We said a picture that's 500 by 500 is around 5 or 6 inches in length. That's like maybe an inch, right? Well, this image, as you see it on your screen right now, definitely isn't 1,500 by 1,500. If you click on it once, it'll expand it to those specifications. If I click on it once, I can get the larger version right here, okay? In fact, I could come right here to this button and hit View Image right over here to the right. That right there is 1,500 by 1,500. You see how big that is? But what we were looking at before wasn't. So what Google Images is basically saying to you guys is, yeah, this image is 1,500 by 1,500, but not in this form. You have to click on it and then click View Image like I just did, like that, to get the big size. Then if I save it, right-click and save, right? Saves it to my computer, right-click, Save Image As. That'll save it to my computer, and then I'm good. If I just downloaded the one that was showing up here, and this is the most common mistake my clients make when they're first starting this. They say to me, Trevor, it was 1,500 by 1,500, I swear. It even said it on Google Images. I downloaded it, which is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to right-click on this image, save it to my computer. I'm going to call this one Original. Okay? And they'll bring it into Pixlr. Well, first they'll try to load it up onto eBay, and they'll get frustrated that it's not going up onto eBay. eBay's telling them it's too small, but they're like, I swear it's not too small. It said 1,500 by 1,500. Well, here's the test. Go to Pixlr, okay? Open the image, and bring it in. Then you can actually test it, okay? So let's bring in the original right here. Is it 1,500 by 1,500? It's not, right? You guys see the number right here. It's 225 by 225. That's not even close, right? That's the most common mistake you guys will probably ever make when you're using Google Images. So I had to show you a version of that. Let me open up the other one, File, Open Image, up here at the top left. Here's the one that I did the right way. See how big that is? But even as you guys are seeing it right now, it's still not 1,500 by 1,500 because it's only 46%. You can see this little percentage right here. If I want to see how big it is I have to come over here to the top right and change this to 100. That's 1500 by 1500. You can see how big that picture is. It's a really, really big, good image. So you can change the amount. I mean, a 1500 by 1500 is way big, too big for my screen. So I can zoom it in over here at the right. There we go. There's 1500 by 1500. Okay, you guys see that? So that I would, if I were doing this as a product on eBay, I would have gone to Google Images, saw that this was 1500 by 1500, clicked on it once, so I got the bigger version, and I would have clicked the View Image right here, and then I would have downloaded this one. Right-click, Save Image As, and that would have saved me the time, because then I wouldn't have had to gone into Pixlr to resize the image. I would have just known that it's the right size. Does that make sense, guys? The same thing could be true of some of these other pictures. There's another one over here to the right. Whoops, right over here to the far right, which says 500 by 500. I could click on that once, and I could either right-click on this one that shows up and save image as, or I can come over here and click the View Image, and I can get it right here and save it, okay? Whatever you guys do is fine, but seriously, don't make that mistake, and it happens a lot. I would say it's probably the #1 image mistake that you'll make, and it'll cause a lot of frustration, but if you're going to use Google Images, just make sure you understand how to use it that way, okay? Now, the interesting thing is, when you're using Pixlr, sizing something down doesn't change the quality of the image. So I could take this image that we downloaded right here, I could size it down to something much smaller by going up here to Image and then Image Size, and I could take this down to whatever I wanted, 500 by 500, and it would size it down, but the quality remains just as focused and just as sharp. It doesn't remain that way if you're sizing something up like we showed you earlier, okay? Sizing down is okay. Sizing up is also okay if it's a close, if it's close already to 500 by 500, okay? So, but don't get crazy about it. If the picture is not that much smaller, like this one right here, this 355 by 355, let's save this one. Okay, I got 355 by 355. I've got to exit out of this. You guys following me on this okay? Whoops, I don't need to save this. Okay. Here's 355 by 355 right here. Okay, that's pretty close to the 500 by 500, but not quite big enough. This one I could go image size, and you'll notice if I change it to 500, it doesn't distort it that much. Like, it still looks like a pretty good image. So I don't have any hard and fast rules, but I would say anything less than 250 by 250. If you increase that to 500, the quality is going to be not good enough to really have on eBay. But you'll have to look at it and decide for yourself. If it's so distorted like that shoe was earlier, you obviously aren't going to want it there. Okay. What if you're in Walmart store and you cannot get a big pic to size down? Are you talking? This is from Myra. So are you saying that? What if you're in Walmart, like physically in a Walmart store, or if you're on their website? Clarify that for me if you don't mind. All right, now in terms of like loading, just putting an image up onto eBay, I know this is elementary to some of you guys, but some of my newer clients struggle with this a little bit. Let me sign into an account here. Sign into eBay as if we were going to sell something. And we're going to click sell at the top. And I'm going to type in, we're selling a dinosaur toy. And choose a category for it. Once you get to the image section on eBay, and I'm going to kind of fast forward to where that is. Okay, here we go. So I'm creating a listing. Here's the add photos section. This should be easy. As long as you've already got a big enough picture, this part is easy to do. So click on the little box. Get a little pop-up that looks like this. Hit select photos. And then let's grab one of these pictures. Okay, there's the picture right there. We can come down here and hit finish. And there it is. It loaded the picture in and we're done. Right? Easy as that. If the picture was too small, it would give me a little notification telling me so. Okay? Now the question is, this comes from Delia, do you need more than one picture? Not necessarily. It depends on what you're selling. If you can get extra pictures and it's not going to take you very long to load them up, I think more pictures as a general rule is always better. But where I'm not a big fan of it is, you know, if you're getting more pictures and it's taking you a while to find them, and even for like a little dinosaur toy like this, I would argue one picture is plenty sufficient. I don't need like 4 different images showing all the different angles of it. If I were selling something like a really, really expensive headboard for a bed that was going to cost $1,500, the buyer's probably going to want to see a pretty darn good picture and maybe several different angles. So that should put it into perspective. I mean, it just depends on the item. But for a little dinosaur toy like this, and for a lot of the kinds of things you guys will be listing, one picture is probably sufficient. But if you can easily get your hands on others, don't hesitate to do it. Yeah, Kim. I mean, sure, you could do that. One picture that shows the item clearly and one that, you know, uses a human like this. This is a good example to kind of show how big the item is. Definitely. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, just do the classic uploader. So Giselle, you're asking the difference between the enhanced photo uploader and the classic. I just use the normal one. So when I get here, I just do just this one right here. The classic uploader is a little bit different. It looks like this. This is the classic uploader. I don't use the classic because the normal one is just fine. But I suppose you can if you'd prefer to do it this way, you can. I won't spend much time on this right now though. Whatever works best for you. The thing is speed, guys. Like you can't let images suck up a ton of your time. And yeah, it takes a little bit of practice to work on Pixlr and to get used to adding and sizing and changing images up. That's why it's nice if your supplier has pictures that are just plain big enough. Because if they are, you're all set. You don't even have to worry about using Pixlr. But more often than not, especially if you're using Walmart as a supplier, you're going to get pictures that are a little smaller, and you're going to have to be comfortable increasing the size and then loading them into eBay. Okay, good. So we've covered Pixlr. We've covered the rule, 500 pixels at least on one side. We've done several examples. Is there anything else from a picture standpoint that you haven't seen today that you feel like would help you out? Yeah, and I'm not familiar with a time where the listing only accepts URLs. Yeah, I'm really not sure of that. Let's do that and maybe the FAQ a little bit later on. I'm gonna do a picture of a piece of clothing. We could do that. Okay, yeah. Should we just grab something off of, it should work the same way. Let's just use, I don't know, let's use a different supplier just as an example. Let's use Target for a piece of clothing. Myra wants us to do a shirt or something. Let's do that. Here's a shirt right here. We'll click on that. We'll just do this black shirt. Okay, so here's the picture. Now I'm going to try to right click first on top of it. It doesn't look like I can save the image. Oh, there it goes. Sometimes you have to right click on the right spot. So I right clicked and hit save image as. Let me save this to my computer. I don't know if this is big enough. I can't tell. It looks like it could be close, so I could take this over to Pixlr real quick. File, open. I'm going to do this kind of quick. Bring in the picture. Yeah, I was right. It was definitely close. 480 by 480. We've got to increase this a little bit. So image size, 500. Okay. It just increased the size just a tiny bit, which is fine. File, save. We'll call this a black shirt. We'll save it to my desktop, and I'm done. So I've got it now. And now if I want to upload this shirt, click on the little box, select photos, click on the shirt, finish, and there it is. It went into eBay. So you can see how if you know what you're doing and you've got some repetition behind you, you can almost certainly get images up in a hurry. It doesn't take you very long. Good. So Robert and Robin ask, do all pictures have to be square or is rectangular good? No, rectangular is fine. I like square better. Aesthetically, I think it looks a little nicer, but no, seriously, if I'm selling a golf club, the picture is going to be rectangular, and I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Some pictures are just more rectangular than others, and that's all right. Yeah, some pictures do need to get upsized a lot, Myra, and it depends on your supplier entirely. This was kind of an easy example. Target's was 480, right? And sometimes, like you saw with my Target example here, I was able to download this picture right here on the spot. I didn't have to go to Google Images, and sometimes you can do that. Some suppliers don't let you download it right there on the spot. You have to go find it through Google Images. What you're looking for, though, is when you right-click, see how I don't have an option to save image as? I just have save as. Well, that's not what I want to do. I want to save the picture. So I right-clicked again, and it gave me this option to save image as. That's saving the picture. You have to save it to your computer, okay? Okay. So as far as the recording is concerned, I think that's plenty. Hopefully that gives you guys a better understanding of how to do pictures and images. Bigger is better too. So if you can get bigger pictures, use them, because on eBay it creates this little magnifying effect. If your picture is big enough, when somebody goes to your eBay listing, they can magnify over the picture. You guys have probably seen that before. If it's not, it won't create that effect. So bigger is better, but sometimes you can't get a bigger image. It is what it is. Take what you can get and move on to your next listing, okay? And then if you absolutely can't find an image, I would challenge you to email your coach first before you just say that there's no way that there's an image big enough. Because more often than not, I can find the image, and you just need to know how to do it. So if you struggle to find an image, let your coach know. But don't let it bog you down too much. You shouldn't be hunting for images for 10, 15 minutes, because if you're doing that, it's just taking you too long to get your listings up. Okay? All right, guys. Well, let's finish up the recording if you're watching this recorded. Thanks for being here.